It is a Monday morning in 1956. Inside a 16th floor elevator on Madison Avenue stands Margaret, a 26-year-old secretary. Her hat sits at a precise angle, her white gloves are spotless, and the seam running up the back of each stocking is perfectly straight. Maintaining this pristine silhouette required constant vigilance. This look was a professional requirement, a high-stakes survival code for women navigating the mid-century workplace. While some mandates appeared in employee handbooks, the most rigid requirements in these busy offices were unwritten customs that everyone was expected to know. Deviating from these unspoken standards often led to immediate, quiet termination. This pressure was enforced not just by management, but by every other woman in the typing pool. To understand the 1950s office, we have to look at the specific layers of this system, an escalating series of rules ranging from micro-fashion choices to the fine print of corporate contracts. The baseline began with the legs. Bare skin in the office was considered the mark of a woman who had given up on herself. Fully fashioned stockings, featuring a visible seam running up the back, were a year-round requirement regardless of the summer heat. Meeting this standard cost both time and money. Because home hair dryers lacked the power of professional equipment, working women spent their own funds to sit beneath beauty parlor domes for 45 minutes every week to ensure their set would last. The maintenance cycle continued throughout the day. A woman arrived with her lipstick perfectly done, touched it up before she sat down to type, and then meticulously reapplied it again after lunch. Skipping this step carried a social penalty. Peers would often approach a woman who hadn't refreshed her lipstick to tell her she looked tired, the coded term for failing to keep up appearances. These unwritten rules extracted a constant tax of time and personal income. Before she even typed a page, a worker had to assemble herself every morning just to meet the office definition of being dressed. Beyond physical appearance, the office structure demanded specific behaviors that were entirely absent from official job descriptions. Typing and filing were the official duties, but fetching the boss's coffee was a universal professional expectation. It was a daily ritual with steep costs for any secretary who quietly declined to participate. A woman's identity in the office directory was also subject to immediate change. If a secretary married over the weekend, the office manager would replace her desk nameplate, switching her title from Miss to Mrs. before the Monday morning mail arrived. Etiquette columnists like Amy Vanderbilt codified these social hierarchies. Her rulings dictated that in a business setting, a woman was always introduced to a male superior, and never the reverse. These rituals functioned as a daily public broadcast, a constant reminder of a woman's subordinate status and exactly who she belonged to. While offices relied on social pressure, industries like airlines hardened these customs into binding legal contracts. The stewardess became the extreme example of this system. Airlines policed foundations by writing girdle requirements directly into the employee handbook. Supervisors were authorized to visually check a stewardess's uniform before boarding to ensure compliance. The scale enforced what a visual check could not. Mandatory weigh-ins carried strict numerical ceilings. Going over by a few pounds meant a stewardess was sent home unpaid. The final contractual limit was the calendar. Airlines imposed mandatory retirement at 32. Even at peak excellence, her career ended by law. At this level, the individual woman disappears behind corporate policy. Her weight and her youth were explicitly commodified, measured and regulated as company assets. All of these rules, the stockings, the coffee, the age ceilings, pointed toward a single economic assumption. A woman's work was only an interval. This assumption manifested in marriage bars, contracts that forced immediate resignation the moment a woman wed. For teachers and airline stewardesses, walking down the aisle on Saturday meant turning in their uniforms on Monday. This chart shows the result of that logic. The 59 cents on the dollar pay gap was the mathematical expression of an era that viewed women as temporary labor. The economic logic was consistent. Employers refused to invest in a workforce they had structurally expected to leave. Margaret, standing in that Madison Avenue elevator, was the product of this engineering. The rules of her world allowed her to earn a living, but they were designed to ensure she could never build a career.